If you're looking to start a podcast and already have a podcast and you're looking for an affordable podcasting hosting site, Podbean's your number one choice. Podbean offers statistics with in-depth analytics to manage your podcast needs. Use the promo code podbean.com/pbsignup and get a free month off. That's podbean.com/pbsignup to get a free month off and see why 1,500 episodes have been shared all over the world in the past 11 years with over 3,000 subscribers that have chose Podbean as their number one hosting site.
Podcast City Network.
Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to The Everett Lee Show.
Welcome, everyone, to the Everett Lee Show podcast. I am the Everett Lee. I want to give a shout out to everyone that follows me on social media and also Podcast City Network, official host of the Everett Lee Show podcast. Before I go and get into the program tonight, I just want to take a moment right here and crack open a cold one. I want to raise a glass to all the doctors, nurses, people who work at the retail stores, Publix, CVS, Walgreens, Sam's Club, Costco, any place in this country right now. Here's to you for putting up with the idiocy of the human race and putting up with their bullshit. So I'm holding this up high for you tonight, and thank you for putting up with the human race and doing what you do for everybody. And this also goes to the ones that's not able to work right now. Don't worry. Things are going to get better. Things are looking up. So here's to you. I'll tell you, man. I'll tell you. Things are going to get better. But the show must go on. Tonight, on the podcast, on the program, Everett Lee has none other right now. He's on the video chat line right now. I have none other than Pro Wrestling Magic Commentary. Jimmy Baxter is on the program tonight. How you doing there, Jimmy?
I'm friggin' fantastic. Everett, how are you doing, man?
I'm great. Sorry about the little delay. When you work your butt off and you're tired, you forget things.
Believe me, I know, man. I walked like 15 miles today at work, just getting the stuff going. I work at Target in my shoot job, brother. You know, so yeah. I like to get those reps in, get those steps going. Yeah,
I hear you. I know how crazy it's been, man, with everything going on in the world. It's just been nonsense. It's just been nonsense with a lot of stuff going on. But things are looking up. Things are looking so much better right now. They are, which I'm trying to figure out why they're not reporting about the recovery rate in all these countries, which is doing so much better, instead of talking about the cases and death. I'm sick of death. I'm sick of death. Death. You know, if I want to hear about death, I'll get in my car and listen to Slayer. But
Damn right. Yeah. A good friend of mine used to say that the four most important letters in the English language are JETS. That's joints, ecstasy, tequila, and fucking Slayer, man.
Fucking Slayer, yeah.
That's right.
Slayer.
And before we get into it, man, I just wanted to say thanks for having me on, man. Preemptively, the show could go totally off the rails, and I'm already having a great time, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
No problem. Anything happens when you go live here on the Everett Lee Show. Our feed on Facebook, I don't know what's going on, but on the Everett Lee Show Facebook page, it's not working right now. But at least we got Twitch going, and those that's tuning in right now on Twitch, I want to give a shout out to you right here on this Tuesday night on the Everett Lee Show. But
got 2 for Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. 2 for Tuesday.
That's right. 2 for Tuesday. Definitely. But I want to roll into things here and start asking you some questions. Like Schwarzenegger says, I got a bunch of questions. I want them answered immediately, but not like that. But
who's your daddy and what does he do?
basically.
Basically.
First off, I want to know where did you grow up at, Jimmy?
I grew up in a little town just over the river from New York City called Cliffside Park, New Jersey. I went to school there. I was born in Englewood, so I'm a Bergen County boy through and through. I did spend a lot of time in Hudson County. My dad's from Hoboken, so I worked there, did a lot of construction, and just been sort of in and out of retail gigs for the last 16, 17 years. And lucky enough, I was able to find wrestling a few years back, and they embraced me with semi-barbed wire open arms. And I appreciate them. They seem to like what I do, even though I don't like what I do. So
that's good. That's good.
My mom always used to tell me I got a face made for radio, so I'm just trying to make that work for me. And every once in a while, people insist that they put a camera in my face. So I got to say, Mom, sorry, but I tried.
It's all good. It's all good. When did you first start watching wrestling? At what age? When did you start getting into it?
I think the earliest I can remember is 96, 95 maybe. The earliest memory I have is I must have mentioned it to my dad at some point that I liked this thing that I saw while he was flipping through channels while Monday Night Football was on, and it was wrestling. And he got me a Shawn Michaels VHS, the one that was hosted by what's his name from the Fabulous Freebirds, Doc Hendricks hosted it, and it had the ladder match from SummerSlam on it with the blue tights and stuff. And I really got into that, and that was I think 95, so give or take 20 some odd years.
Oh, nice. Wow.
But the first major memory I can remember from watching wrestling back in the day was when Austin threw the IC title over the bridge when he was feuding with Rock back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And ever since then, it's been 110% full gear. My first love was professional wrestling. Don't tell my fiance. But
yeah, the Attitude Era was great, man. Especially with the rivalry with The Rock and Austin. That was great, and just everything that was going on during the Attitude Era during the Monday Night War. Did you flip back and forth watching WCW?
Oh yeah. I loved WCW actually for a really long period of time. I loved the stuff that they were doing in late '96, early '97, the early rise of the NWO. Some of the stuff I luckily with the WWE Network that's out there for some undisclosed amount of money. I'm not sure exactly what that price is per month, but they have all the episodes of Nitro. You go back and some of it's really, really rough. We actually, at Pro Wrestling Magic, we have a WCW alumni who wrestles for us every once in a while, Crowbar, former hardcore champion, cruiserweight champion, really excellent guy. So he's always willing to talk about those 1999, 2000 times. And it's super cool being on this side of it now, being a fan for as long as I've been a fan and hearing all the Russo stories and just what was going on and the vibe and everything. So it's really interesting to be on this side of it now.
It is. It is a lot of that stuff going on, and of course, I know he has some stories to share how everything was backstage during that time and everything. I remember Crowbar, man. He teamed with David Flair. That was a unusual duo there, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's that. You go back and you watch some of those segments that they did together with the crazy girlfriend that they had at the time, Daphne, I think her name was.
Yeah. And
you just see all the stuff that they were doing, getting away with, and we've been lucky enough that he comes down and he shows up at training and hangs out. He filmed a rather long interview segment with us for Monday Morning Magic with his current tag team partner, the Pain Train, Adam Payne, and that was a hell of a lot of fun just to sit there and. I don't want to say sit under the learning tree. There wasn't a lot of this is how you should do things and stuff. He was just very open to whatever we were thinking about doing. He's really just a fun dude, really just real dude. And he's just a lot of fun to be around. A lot of the guys that we work with are just, it's an absolute pleasure to be able to get to do some of the stuff with these guys.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. I love that. Just getting to work and just getting to do that with such great talent. It is neat. When did you decide that you want to get into commentary? When did you decide that you actually wanted to get into the business after being a fan for so long?
Well, it's a loaded question because as most of these stories normally go, is I had a friend who was already in the wrestling business. He was making his way through. His name is Scotty Cerriti. He's made his way up and down the East Coast, out to Ohio, West Virginia, places like that. And he had made some contacts and some friends through it. And he had mentioned to me that, like, you know, maybe we should start a podcast or whatever. I was living in South Jersey at the time, so he would swing through and he'd go, let's watch an old WWF pay-per-view and, like, just shoot the shit about it or whatever. And when we were doing that one week, he was just like, listen, man, I think you should come to OPW with me in Williamstown, Matt Tremont's, where now H2O Wrestling is, Matt Tremont's promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And he got me and my now fiance to come out and check out a no rope barbed wire match with Tremont, and I started getting into that a little bit. And little by little, Scotty Cerriti just sort of like poked and prodded. He's like, come on, man, it'd be great. You and I could do this together and stuff. And eventually I was just like, all right. You know, I knew the guys who created Pro Wrestling Magic from back in high school.
Right.
So I'd been to a few of their shows back in the day. And eventually we got in there, and Scotty was the ring announcer at the time, and he offered to do commentary with me. And something just sort of clicked when I got behind the microphone at the table. I grew up listening to guys like Joey Styles and, you know, Jim Ross and, you know, those kind of guys, and that Tony Schiavone, those kind of guys, and that always stood out to me. It always said something to me in my head that I didn't know what it was saying at first, but once I finally got in there and I finally decided, like, who I was going to be and what was going on, and it just sort of stuck, and now I can't imagine my life without it.
Right. Yeah, wrestling it's being a fan and being in that business. It could be fun, and it's just you have so much fun there, just doing what you do and just having a good time at it. And it sounds like you had having a really good time at it. I
remember we were backstage. I think it might have been between, like, an intermission, or it might have been after a show. I don't remember who it was. Somebody walked up to me and they slapped me on the back and they were like, congratulations, man, you're a worker now. And I never understood the term worker for, like, a guy who does what I do. Like, I'm not getting in the ring and taking bumps. I don't really like pain. I kind of bruise like a peach. I'm not really into that side of it. I tried it. I'm not very good at it. But I was always really good at talking. And I never understood the term worker for the guys who do what I do, because I never feel like I'm at work. I feel like a kid in a candy store. I feel like the guy who's one of the luckiest people in the world to talk. And I you know, it's not like, not to say that it's not paying the bills or whatever, but it's not paying the bills, and I still would do it over anything else that I do in the world, because it's just the most fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something, just being accepted and saying, hey, congratulations. I mean, you're part of it. It does make you feel appreciated, and you're like, hell yeah, that feeling. Because there's nothing more in the world than just having that feeling about being a part of something and being accepted and being appreciated. That's
that feeling when you come off of a show at the end and everybody's standing around. Some of the dudes are just pouring sweat or blood, or, you know, somebody's like getting their arm checked out or something. Everybody's just sort of buzzing. The fans are walking out and they're talking about the matches that they just saw, or they'll come up to you and go, oh, holy shit, dude, like, dude, I can't believe, like, what happened or whatever. Excuse me, sorry. It's a really cool feeling. And actually today I got spotted by somebody while I was at my shoot job, and they were like, oh my God, Jimmy fucking Riot. Because my character's name is Jimmy Riot. It's how I get away with saying terrible things about people that I actually really like in person. Yeah. And it was a really cool feeling, and I'm sort of still buzzing about it. That, like, we started this show on YouTube about 18 weeks ago. Joey's gonna kill me, but 18 weeks ago, called Monday Morning Magic, and we sort of host it inside the world of the Pro Wrestling Magic Kingdom, where everything happens and everything takes place. And just that's, I think, the thing I'm most proud of is that, like, they make me put on this, you know, stupid little suit and tie, and I host it. Primarily it's me, but Scotty Cerriti hosted an episode. Our ring announcer Shane Fair is, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard of Shane Fair, do yourself a favor and just look up anything he's ever done. He's hilarious. He's one of the funniest guys I've ever met in my life, and it's an absolute privilege to do this thing that I'm lucky enough to do.
Nice. I love it. I love it, man. That must be fun trying to get everything together and stuff, and putting together a show on YouTube and stuff. Now, how's that been with having a show on YouTube and just like the hits? You getting a lot of hits there?
Yeah, I think we've had some episodes get above 2K, 2,000. I think 2,500. I think maybe one has nearly 3,000. I try not to pay attention to it too much because when I'm looking at the camera and stuff, I like to believe I'm talking to a million people just in case. But like when we do stuff like this, or I'm doing a podcast, I'm not just having a conversation with the person, with you, for example. I'm talking to the people who are in the Twitch or leaving comments or anything, because I do it for them. Like, right. Yes, it's a great privilege that I get to be able to be in this business and do great things, but I love hearing from the fans who come up to me and go, "Oh my God, I heard you screaming and yelling about this guy going through a table or a door or whatever, or them landing on the Legos and whatnot." Like, and it's just it's so much to put into words. But Monday Morning Magic has been an absolute gift that we get to do. We do it. We film, once a week or sometimes twice a week. Sometimes here at my apartment or out in the world, or at the Pro Wrestling Magic Kingdom in Richfield Park, New Jersey, where we do all of our monthly shows. And we have something coming up, obviously. We had a show that was supposed to come up, but because of, I don't know if you know this or not, but there's this thing going on right now that makes people not be able to leave their house. Yeah. So what we're doing is we're going to film a little thing with me and Shane where we are running down the top 5 Pro Wrestling Magic matches of all time that we haven't posted yet, because we did post a whole bunch on the YouTube page, and getting to actually the best part about having so much footage to go back with is that I get to call all those matches in post sometimes, or it's my commentary partner Mark. And we have people like Keith Lee, and I think Tommaso Ciampa wrestled for us one time a bunch of years back, and to be able to go back and watch the evolution of the company from where we started out to where we are now, and be able to call it from today is just, there's just so much about it that's just so interesting to do.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love that. I love that. Especially Keith Lee, Tommaso Ciampa. Oh, God dang.
One of the matches we released recently was Keith Lee versus Cody that we had at the Pro Wrestling Magic Kingdom a few years back.
Really?
Yeah, Keith Lee versus Cody. We had JT Dunn versus Cody. Dominic Dijakovic, the now Dominic Dijakovic.
Yeah.
He wrestled for us one time.
Yeah.
Warbeard Hansen, Tommy Dreamer. We've had a bunch of guys and girls roll through. Joey Ryan actually knows one of the guys that owns the company a little bit, and he's popped in from time to time. He reffed a women's title match for us, I think last year, and it was just getting able to meet some of these guys that you see on the internet, getting millions of hits. And Jordan Grace was our women's champion for 6-7 months, I think, and she's fantastic.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff with Jordan Grace. Damn, she's impressive in the ring. So watching her work there. I was watching, I think it was a title match. I can't think of the name. I follow them on YouTube, and I can't think of the name of the channel I follow, but it popped up on YouTube there one night that they were live and they were doing a match with her in it, and I was impressed by it, man. She could be a powerhouse. She could be a powerhouse.
That's
man.
Thick Mama Pump. That's Thick Mama Pump for you. She is a powerhouse. She's technically gifted. She is athletically gifted that you wouldn't think for a woman who has the build that she does, where she looks like a refrigerator. She is just built and beautiful too. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. She's a lovely, lovely woman, but she looks like she could just walk through people, but she can also dive off the top rope, do a tope through the ropes. She is just unbelievable. The time that she spent with Pro Wrestling Magic, she actually recently popped up in our Royal Rumble type situation, the Chad Adams Memorial Rumble, right? Where she was in that, and that was fantastic as well. I mean, every time she comes out, the crowd loses their mind because they see talent and they recognize when they see a great talent.
Yeah, she's a talent. She's someone to watch for, and I wouldn't be surprised if she popped up on one of the two promotions and
her work in Impact has been great. I mean, Impact, say what you will about Impact TNA Wrestling, the Owl Wrestling organization or whatever, but her work over there has been great. The stuff Joey Ryan is doing with Impact is really interesting, like a modern day right to censor. And just some of the guys that they picked up. Ace Austin was over there for a little while. He wrestled for us a couple times. Impact. People sleep on Impact, but they shouldn't as much as they do.
I'm pretty much one of those people. I used to watch Impact here and there back in the day. I used to watch them here and there on what they do, but I have not really kept too much of it with it lately, with what's going on with the talent and stuff. If you'd asked me if I knew anyone that was working for Impact Wrestling right now, my mind just draw a blank right now, because I remember back when AJ Styles, Kurt Angle, and them, Eric Young was wrestling for that promotion. But now I have not kept up too much with it, and I say to myself, I should just go back and just see what's going on with the promotion. I know Kim Shamrock's back in that promotion.
Yeah, he did a match with Joey Ryan a little while back that was billed as the world's most dangerous man versus the world's most dangerous manhood. Yeah. And just on that alone, I'm like, okay, Impact, you guys know what you're doing. Don Callis, I think Matthews, I'm blanking on the other guy's name. Sorry if you're watching this or if you hear about this, but that commentary team is really fun. They're not my favorite, but they are really fun. They did a whole episode around Thanksgiving where they totally just took the piss out of NWA Power. They did a 1980s themed episode of Impact, and they made it look like NWA Power, and they just sort of took the piss out of them, and I love that. Just the fact that they're able to just shoot the shit and make fun stuff happen, because that's what pro wrestling is. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be art. It's supposed to be avant-garde, if you will, if you want to sound like an asshole like I do half the time, but yeah, Impact, people sleep on it, but they shouldn't. Yeah,
they shouldn't. I remember that right there. I remember watching that right there, or hearing about it. I heard Jim Cornette. I listened to Jim Cornette. I know a lot of people get mad about Jim Cornette and stuff, but I don't take the guy seriously. The guy's going to speak his mind, and if he likes something, he likes it. If he don't, he don't, and people get all bent out of shape about him. But he did mention about that with Shamrock and Joey Ryan there, and it was just funny.
He does not like Joey.
No,
he does not like Joey, no.
Now, I met the guy. He
likes The Fiend, though. That was so confusing to me. He loves The Fiend.
Mm-hmm. I met the guy a few years ago at a live wrestling event.
He's a sweetheart.
Yeah, great guy and stuff though. But when the camera's rolling, when the audio is rolling, he becomes Jim Cornette. And I remember him as a kid. Check this out. I remember as a kid, he would get on there with the Midnight Express and start cutting the promo and stuff. My dad would get up and he'd start yelling at the TV. He's like, "Get Jim Cornette off my fucking TV." He'd get pissed. The old man. I never seen the old man get so mad at someone at the TV. He would get mad at Jim Cornette, Ric Flair. When Ric Flair came on TV, and I'm just figuratively speaking, I forgot how many TVs we had to get, because when Flair would come on TV, he'd get mad because Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, was my dad's favorite. And
Dusty Rhodes, baby.
Dusty Rhodes, baby. That's right. Ric Flair, I'm coming for you. Coming at the Omni for you. I love that right there. And
yeah, and my dad was always confused by with Cornette. He was always confused about the tennis racket.
Yeah,
he was always like, "What? He's hitting these guys that are 300 pounds with this tennis racket. What is this all about?" And I was like, "Dad, you don't understand. It's like 10 tons. He's got weights in there or something. You don't know.
Yeah,
you don't know." He's like, "Well, then why aren't they kicking him out?" It's like, because he's got the brains, Dad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why. That's why he was one of those managers that when he was at the ring, no matter who he was managing, you knew that racket was going to come and play. Any manager that was dirty and that was going to make sure their talent was going to win that match. Of course, I mean, look at Mr. Fuji. He choke him out with damn cane when people weren't looking.
And Cornette was never afraid to bump for the good guys too. He would always put himself in a situation where if tennis racket didn't work out, he would bump on the apron, or he'd take a slap to the face and end up on the ground. The work Cornette did in the ring, say what you will about his podcast or about his certain views on stuff. I'm not a big fan of some of the stuff because he said some stuff about Sonny Kiss, I think, last year that wasn't very cool. But he's an older guy. He's from a different generation. I know that's not an excuse, but he's from the territories, you know? Like, if he doesn't get something, he's just going to tell you, hey, I don't get that shit. I don't get it. Yeah. But when he's also pretty fair when it comes to certain things. If he likes something, he likes it. If he doesn't like it, he doesn't like it. And if he likes The Fiend, you know that Bray's doing something. You know Bray's doing something right. You know.
Yeah, I love that. I love that character, The Fiend. I love how Bray reinvented himself because if you really look, this is the third reinvention of the character Bray Wyatt because it was Husky Harris, Bray Wyatt, and then now you get The Fiend. And it surprised me at the TLC pay-per-view when he came out to wrestle The Miz as Bray Wyatt. You didn't expect
the Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt from the Funhouse.
Yeah.
Arguably, I'd say it's the fourth because when he was with Woken Matt Hardy, he ended up in the Lake of Reincarnation, and he came out with the classic, like the butcher gown, and like he was sort of doing like early 2014, 2015 Bray Wyatt stuff. When he was still like in the rocking chair and before he did the whole he's got the whole world in his hand thing with Cena and Roman and stuff. So arguably it's 4, even though that one with Matt Hardy was like a little less of a reinvention, more of like a twist on an existing character. But yeah, Bray Wyatt's fantastic. I mean, the in-ring work could probably be a little bit more smooth, but he makes up for it with the character stuff, and I think it's one of the best things going.
He really don't need to really do too much. I mean, look at Undertaker, for example. Look at this guy. This guy comes out to the ring in his entrance. He has that big entrance and everything that he does. When he comes out with that entrance and he comes in the ring, the expressions on his face and everything, and then he'd hit a few moves and then that's it. And then he'd walk off. He don't need to do too much. He don't need to do a lot or too less. It's just about right. And with Bray, that's about the same thing. The character's already over. He get out there and do the mandible claw and put an opponent out and walk off. There you go. That's pretty much it. Everyone's gonna eat that shit up. That's how it goes.
And there have been a few bumps in the road with The Fiend. Obviously, the thing with Seth Rollins didn't exactly work out as planned. Right. Arguably, with Seth Rollins, the match that they had in Saudi Arabia was significantly better than the Hell in a Cell match, which was one of the worst matches of all time. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah.
But I still can't forgive The Undertaker for a couple of years ago, though. Quick story. I had a bet going with Scotty Cerriti. I bet him that it would take longer for The Undertaker to walk to the ring during his entrance than the Brock Lesnar and Goldberg match from that year. Right. It was 35 or 34. And I was off by 15 seconds, and I owed Scotty $20. And Undertaker, Mark, if you're listening, if you're watching, I expect that $20 bill in the mail. Please and thank you. Don't hurt me.
That's great. That's great. I love that. Yeah, I got to see Undertaker 2015 SummerSlam. Me and my wife went up to New York, and I got to see him live. I got to see that entrance live after all these years, and just like Paul Bearer said, it gave me goosebumps watching this guy come to the ring. And that's when he wrestled Brock Lesnar in the main event, and that's when
it was the rematch from WrestleMania that year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when they had that controversial finish where they rang the bell and everyone's booing and stuff. But I was there that following Monday night. Me and my wife, we bought the SummerSlam package, and I got the chairs. I got 2 chairs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got the 2 chairs. And we also attended Monday Night Raw. I know the episode, it's where Sting debuted, or not debuted, but came back, and that's when...
Was that the one where he was under the, as they lifted up to do the statue for Rollins?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he was just under there with his his paint was all fucked up for some reason. Like, what were you doing under there? You know?
Yeah. But it was great because it was funny because when they were taking that thing out, because I was right there in the crowd, and I'm on the hard cam side because I can pull up the episode on the network, and I'm like, there I am, there's my wife. And while everything was going on during like the commercial and while they're setting up everything, bringing that out, and people in the crowd were like, they're like, is there someone underneath there? I think there's someone underneath there. And we're like, nah, it can't be. It's probably a statue or what. But a lot of people in the crowd were like, there's someone underneath there. It's not going to be the statue. That's what we all thought. So we're sitting there. We knew it wasn't going to be the statue, but who the hell is going to be underneath there? And that was the same night where I got to see Braun Strowman debut with the Wyatt family. This guy comes up out of the ring, and which you don't hear on TV, which was live, was we started screaming, who are you? Who are you? And we didn't know who the hell this guy was, because we couldn't hear the commentary. We're sitting there watching it live. We're watching it live like everybody else in that arena. But being at a live wrestling event is totally different, the feel and everything, compared to watching it on TV. Have you been to a lot of live wrestling events like WWE or anything like that?
Yeah, actually, I went to a SmackDown in 2000. I went to a Sunday Night Heat back when they were filming at WWF New York, which was super cool. Michael Cole and Taz big leagued me though. They didn't say hi. I was like, "Oh, hi guys," and they were just like, and like walked off. So you guys, watching you. Yeah, I went to that SmackDown in 2000, the Sunday Night Heat, and then I went to, unfortunately, Backlash 2017 in the Prudential Center.
Yeah.
Or was it 20? It might have been 2018. 2018. The one that was headlined by Samoa Joe and Roman. For some reason, the one where people were walking out, I was one of those people. Not gonna lie, because that pay-per-view was garbage, except for the opening match with The Miz and Seth Rollins. And when The Miz was coming out, I was coming down with beers because I was like, oh, the show's gonna start, whatever. So I was walking down with beers, and then all the lights went out for the. Can we please have quiet on the set? Can we please have quiet on the set? I almost fell down a whole row of stairs with the beers, but I made it back to the chair. Everything was fine. And then I was supposed to go to Blood and Guts tomorrow night in the Prudential Center again for AEW.
Right.
Super, super stoked for that. And then, of course, the coronavirus happened.
Yeah. And
they're not doing that. But they're going to be back there in July. I haven't got a refund for my tickets yet. I might still go to that. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm kind of up in the air about it. Depends if we get that $1,000 check or not from the government. That's going to decide whether or not I get my my refund. But yeah, and that was going to be the next one I was going to go to. And then obviously, I've been at 100 or so live wrestling events for smaller companies.
Right. I love how AEW did their last week, their live show there.
Yeah.
With the crowd, they kind of took what WWE was doing, have been doing with Raw and SmackDown, but I love the elements of having like MJF and Sean Spears gambling over their matches. $200. I better not lose $200. You better win this match. Just something like that. It gave it more of an incentive and made it much better, because I felt that during that week, AEW, like them or hate them, they knocked it out because it felt more. They had that thing that they showcased that WWE was missing for those like almost 2 weeks at that time now, and I feel that they pretty much made that. And plus on top, I mean, you had Brody Lee debut, and you also had a lot of people kind of knew broken Matt Hardy was coming to AEW, because if you look, you think about it, man, the last time ever anyone's actually seen Matt Hardy on WWE TV, Randy Orton put his ass out.
Yeah, the last two times he concertoed him, he put him in a neck brace and all that other stuff, and he was able to work that into his Free the Delete series, where like that's how the character that was inhabiting the vessel of Matthew Hardy, that version of Broken Matt Hardy died. I believe his name was Zenith, and now he's another name. I listened to the Talk is Jericho podcast where he was talking about it, And the way he thinks out this whole like broken universe thing is like insane to me, that he's able to like come up with all these ideas, and when he premiered as Broken Matt Hardy on AEW, almost everybody believed that he was going to be the Exalted One.
Yeah,
and I think
too.
with Brody Lee,
yeah,
I believe that too, with all the little like hints that they were giving out, where AEW posted that thing that every first letter of the thing spelled out Matt Hardy and whatever, and all the other like little conspiracy theories. I think Brody Lee being the Exalted One leaves way more open to the imagination for like in-ring stuff, because Broken Matt Hardy is more of a character, because he's getting to be 45, 46, I think now.
Yeah.
And he even admitted it on the Jericho podcast, where he said, I had to adapt my style. Yeah. And I think that's the smartest thing he ever could have done. And he could do the occasional match, but then tomorrow night he's going to have a face-to-face with Jericho. And those are some of the best talkers in the business right now.
They are. I love how Matt Hardy reinvented himself, because there for a while, a long time, all you heard was Jeff Hardy between the Hardy boys. Jeff was that one that basically was the breakout star in the tag team, and he went on and did some great stuff though, but his personal demons hurt him, and that's the only drawback on him. But then you had Matt Hardy. It's just Matt Hardy. And then him coming out and reinventing himself, coming out with like different versions of himself. And speaking of versions, remember Matt Hardy version 2.0?
Version 1. It was version 1.
Version 1.
Oh, yeah! That whole like, I can stand a tornado!
I love that.
It's one of the best themes.
Yeah.
Luckily, I mean, he was lucky that Lita started banging Edge, because he was able to get himself back over with he discusses it briefly on the Jericho podcast, where he was lucky enough to get that opportunity to be able to get himself back over, because he had been released from the company before that.
Right.
And then even after that, after a little while, after version 1 Matt left, he went to like Ring of Honor, and he was Big Money Matt, and then he was like Fat Matt Hardy for a little while, which the internet coined for him. That's, I'm not making that up. That's just something he was coined.
Yeah.
And then in 2016, he came out with Broken Matt Hardy, and he was making these short films, the Final Deletion, Apocalypto, and Free the Delete, all that other stuff. One of the best minds for pro wrestling. He said he wanted to have a broken block on Raw every week, where he would take underutilized talent for 15 minutes every week and just do shit with them.
Yeah.
And it's just like, give that guy the world. Let him. What do you have to lose? You're $1 billion company.
Right.
Well, you lost Matt Hardy, and now he's at AEW, and he's going to kill it. I love AEW. I think AEW has been crushing it on Dynamite pretty much every week. There have been a few weeks that have been, okay. But overall, Wednesday night is the place to be for wrestling on television lately.
It is. They're right around the time for the Survivor Series, when they were doing that whole invasion angle with like NXT, with invading Raw and SmackDown. It started out strong, but then it kind of fizzled down a little bit, which I felt it was like just a little bit disappointed. I just felt it just was a little bit disappointed with what they were doing. And then I was watching more of that because I wanted to see what was going to happen. I wanted to see who was going to invade who, and they didn't really do it that much. And they pretty much put the invasion angle on the back of Shayna Baszler, and we know how that went at Survivor Series in that main event.
Because what WWE tends to do, and I'm not shitting on WWE. I love WWE. I've loved WWE my entire wrestling life. But what they did is that SmackDown episode when everybody was trapped over in Saudi Arabia, where the first NXT invasion thing happened, they saw that worked. And then they stayed with the stuff that worked. They didn't continue to bring different people in. They focused more on, like, Adam Cole wrestled on pretty much every single show leading up to Survivor Series.
Exactly.
Then he had that killer match with Pete Dunne on Survivor Series, which is one of the best NXT title matches in history.
Yeah.
The ending to that match where he switches the bitter end into the Canadian Destroyer, the Panama Sunrise is what it's called.
Yeah.
What? Like, I mean, Adam Cole, I believe he might have been like pretty high up on the PWI from last year, because he wrestled on every single show. He wrestled Daniel Bryan. I mean, that match was insane. The Seth Rollins match was a little underwhelming, but I think that falls more on Seth Rollins being the guy in WWE right now.
Right. And
he was wrestling more of that WWE style, and Adam Cole gets to be in that NXT, that indie light sort of feel, which is where he belongs, I think. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they did with the invasion angle, they did what worked the first time, and then they just stayed with what worked, and they stuck to like Adam Cole and Rhea Ripley. And then Shayna Baszler is now on the main roster, in quotation marks. They don't like you using that phrase anymore, but she's on the main roster now, and she's being presented as a monster, which you should do, because also, I don't know if you know this or not, Seth and Becky are leaving in a couple of weeks, or they were going to, because they're getting married. So the only person that could take the belt off of Becky feasibly would be Shayna Baszler. The real question becomes, what does Shayna do after WrestleMania? But that was in a pre-coronavirus world, so who the fuck knows what we're doing now? Yeah, pretty much. Who knows what the hell they're going to be doing with creative going out, because after what with the way the world is going and everything that's happening. But of course, I can see. I've always said when Shayna comes over, she's gonna take the strap from Becky, and that's pretty much it for Becky, because she's had it for a year. She's had a great up and down run for a whole year as Raw champion. Shayna's gonna take it, but now it's who they gonna have step up in front of Shayna to try to take the strap from her. That's what's going to be the interesting part there. And I feel like the SmackDown Women's Championship has just been, it's like second to nothing now. I just feel that's what's been happening with that belt. They've not really done too much with it. I think I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think that the problem with the SmackDown Women's title essentially is that Bayley's just not a very good heel. She's been a heel for 4 or 5 months, maybe a little longer. Yeah. I don't remember exactly when the turn happened. The turn was great, where she cut down the Bayley buddies. Oh yeah. And everything that was cool. There were videos of kids crying on the internet. Like, yeah, that's all right. But then she didn't do anything with it. No. You know, they've been holding off the Sasha and Bayley like feud for like 2 years. They had them go to like anger management therapy, where like at the same time you had Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose like at each other's throats, but they didn't have to go to therapy. Yeah. And now that Bayley's a heel, I'd like to say that they didn't give her anything to do with it, but it's also on her too to not take what she's been given and like really do something with it. She's been sort of flat and one-dimensional. I was a role model. I'm a role model. And now, fuck you fans. Yeah. And whatever. And she's got her fucking Karen from accounting haircut. And she always looks like she wants to speak to the manager. Like, like whatever. Like Bayley, I think, finds herself in this place where she's never going to be Bayley from NXT again. And I think that that's hard for a performer it's a hard pill for a performer to swallow, especially when they decide to turn you, because they turned her too late, I think, too. I think that's really the problem. And I don't know. Also, it speaks to a main underlying problem of main roster WWE television as a whole being sort of lackluster over the last few years. But that's a way bigger conversation to have. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's so many directions you can go with that right there. I agree with everything you just said there, because I could have seen Bayley be like the next John Cena, but the female version of John Cena, what she did with the kids and stuff, and just they could have kept her. They probably couldn't have turned her and kept doing what they did with Cena. But I think the heel turn was great. I remember watching it. I'm like, wow, this is okay. Things are gonna pick up. Things are gonna be different. But yeah, that's just how I feel about it. And man, this WrestleMania is gonna be different. This is gonna be one of the weirdest WrestleManias that's ever. And you know what's funny? I mentioned this today to someone. I said,
I said, they always talk about attendance records at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
This one's gonna go down as the worst attendance record in history.
we get to tell our kids, in 20 years when they're watching wrestling, like we can tell them, hey, I got to see the 101,000 people in Dallas for WrestleMania 32, and I got to see Goose Egg for WrestleMania 36.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, it's because of what's going on in the world and whatever. Yeah. But I think that it's going to be interesting if they can decide to do. Remember when they did the WrestleMania 19, or WrestleMania 20, whatever it was, like WrestleMania the movie, where it was like a documentary where they showed some of the matches, sort of filmed like NFL Films would film the Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Right. So if they did something more like that, where they made it more sort of like a film, like leaning more towards that side of things, I could see that would be kind of interesting. But based on the TV that they're giving us, it doesn't look like they're really trying to take any chances. Like they're just trying to get the shit out.
Yeah.
Like they're just trying to go, we're just going to wade through this. We're just going to get through it. And in 6 months, when this is all blown over and we're at, when we're at SummerSlam, we're going to be back to, the biggest fucking show of the year, and everything's going to be huge and all that other stuff. And then this will sort of try and get erased and pushed to the back burner, because if anyone's good at rewriting their own history, it's WWE. And again, I'm not shitting on them, but they do forget things. Like, remember King Mabel?
Yeah.
No, you don't, because they never fucking talk about him. You know?
Exactly. They do kind of treat like their fan base is squirrels almost, but that's another topic, another discussion for another time.
Oh yeah. This is why Rogue Opinions goes 3 hours when I'm on the show, because I just ramble. I just hit like things as they come along,
Right. Talking about the the only audience they have is the commentary right now on Raw and SmackDown, and that's basically all they're going to have WrestleMania. I want to just add this, and before I jump into asking another question here, it'd be funny if they come out and says this year's WrestleMania attendance record is just a joke about it. That would
they released a shirt on WWE.com that says "I wasn't there" on it.
I haven't seen that. Really?
It's on WWEshop.com. If you guys haven't seen it yet, it's been floating around the internet for a couple of days. WWE actually released a shirt that is the WrestleMania pirate logo, and then on the back it says "I wasn't there," because nobody's gonna fucking be there. I'm sorry, WWE shirts have been okay as of late. This is a home run.
Yeah,
this is a home run.
This is I probably might have to end up
right.
Getting
it's
one.
The coolest shirt. It's the coolest shirt.
That is. I think the last time I ordered any shirts off of WWE.com, I believe it was probably about 20. It was actually 2014. I bought a CM Punk shirt. I still have it. It has his logo and everything, and on the front.
Oh, is it this one?
Which
the one with the X and everything?
No, it's his fist with the lightning bolt with the straight edge, and on the back it says "Best in the World CM Punk." And then I bought my wife a Daniel Bryan shirt. It says "Yes, yes, yes," and on the back it says Daniel Bryan, the red one. Mm-hmm. I bought that. That was like last time I bought a shirt or anything off of WWE.com. Man, that was years ago.
I have this affinity for buying T-shirts when I go to concerts or anything. So when I went to Backlash, I was going to buy a Happy Rusev Day T-shirt. Unfortunately, those sold out. So I got the Daniel Bryan the Yes Is Back shirt from when he first came back from his retirement.
I like that shirt.
And then, of course, I got the UE shirt, the big black and gold with the logo on the front. It says CFOs on the back. And yeah, it's just some of their shirts are cool. A lot haven't been.
yeah, they really haven't. I know there for a while. The Fiend, his merchandise, man, damn, that was selling really, really big. And even the lantern with the face of his former, with him being Bray Wyatt, that was selling like for quite a bit of money. But damn, people are buying that shit up.
The belt was $6,700.
God dang,
and people bought it.
Yeah.
People bought it.
Yeah, people buy that stuff. People buy that stuff, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
It was an ugly fucking belt too. It was just gross.
But
I didn't like it.
hell, someone threw their money down for it, right? Someone threw their money down for it. Like if you had something and you were hot, and like I'll put myself in the same boat. We put something out there that someone's like, oh man, that's, and then but someone out there's gonna be like, and a bunch of people are like, hell yeah, throw that money down on it and just buy it. That's just, it's crazy how that works.
Oh yeah, if somebody asked for it, I don't know, I'd get like little pieces of like parchment paper and do like ball prints in ink on paper if people would pay for it. I don't care, because at the end of the day, you got to make that money. Got to be able to get to the next town, brother.
Exactly.
You got to make those towns.
Exactly. And one thing before everything went to hell, before the world took a shit with everything, I was gonna start going to more local wrestling around here in Daytona, and I went to one of the wrestling promotions around here in Daytona that's just right up the road from me. Go Wrestle. I went there, and we had a good time. Me and my friends did. We sat front row there, and we kind of heckled the talent a little bit and stuff though. But we had a good time.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, there was about 20 of us in the place there. But hell, they put on a show like there was like 100 or more people there, and I love what they do. So I just want to say thank you for that. But then also, I went to a Knockout Wrestling show, and I got to see the debut of a new character. And I'm looking at all this stuff, and I'm saying to myself, the way I feel about big companies like WWE and like in AEW and NXT, I said, I need to start supporting more of what's around me. And I'm like, you know what? This is going to work out great. And all of a sudden, just like the world was like, I'm like, shit, really? I was like, you had to pick the time that I was going to go out and be more supportive of what's going on around me. Because I know so many people that talk about, yeah, this is happening in my town. I support this, I support that. And I said, I want to do that more for me, because I feel like I don't do that much. And when I get the opportunity to, then all of a sudden it's like, damn, I can't do it now. I gotta wait though. But it's gonna happen. Promoting and supporting local wrestling, because I don't know if you've seen this. Someone put this up on I think it was on Twitter or Facebook. They said people would complain, or they'd spend money on a ticket to go see Raw or SmackDown and then buy that merchandise, but then when it came to going to an indie show, paying the price for that and buying the merchandise, they bitch about it. But it's also better price than what you would do, paying for like a WWE ticket and stuff, and the entertainment and the value and everything of it is so much better.
Yeah, I think the problem with that is that some people really enjoy that big budget, like McMahon style or AEW style big budget
Yes.
like flashy wrestling. And when you say, hey, I'm going to go to a wrestling show, some people already have in their head like, oh shit, this is going to be like fucking WrestleMania or whatever. And then you show up, and then there's like 150 people, 50 people, 20 people, and then a ring set up, and you have people who are coming out performing their asses off.
Yes.
And I once heard it said that if you don't get professional wrestling when you first see it, you're never going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might have been a cornetism, not sure. But when people get a specific idea in their head for when it comes to professional wrestling, and that's because for the last at least 20 years, let's say 20 years, the only game in town on a big scale was WWE.
Yeah.
WWF, WWE. But now with AEW, they're showing that big production style wrestling in another way. But then also you got to try and not forget about the little guys who are doing, like us at Pro Wrestling Magic. Down in Florida, they have Fest Wrestling, where guys like Effie are they are independent wrestling right now. Effie, Warhorse, Danhausen, Nick Gage, like those kinds of guys, they're out there killing themselves every single week in front of 150 people, 50 people, whatever it is. And they deserve just as much of attention, if not more attention, because WWE and AEW are going to be fine.
Yeah.
Let's be real. They have TV deals that are worth millions of dollars. They have billion-dollar backers behind them. They're going to be fine. I'm not saying don't go to those guys, but don't sleep on your indie talent, especially in these times.
Yeah, exactly. They're hurting right now, and I know a lot of indie wrestlers right now that are hurting, and I know it is just what do you do? What do I do? And it's like this thing that's going around in the world is like taking that away from them, and it hurts. It hurts, and I feel for them because they can't do what they normally can do, and especially I know a lot of people in the film industry right now that's halted production on projects and stuff because they can't do it, and the indie wrestlers can't go out and do their thing because of everything that's going on, and I feel for them, man. But things are going to get better. Things are going to looking up, and with the recovery rate going on with everything, it's going to take some time. And when everything gets back to normal or above what it was before, hell, we're gonna have a hell of a time watching these guys put it all out there every weekend, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah, more often than not. Yeah. No matter where you live, I mean, even in Ohio now, like I used to work for a company in Ohio where there was very little professional wrestling going on in Ohio. A lot of those guys like Ace Romero and Sammy Callahan is from out in Ohio, and they would have to travel to the East Coast to wrestle.
Yeah.
And now Ohio sort of has like a burgeoning thing going. Florida is a hotbed for indie wrestling because of the Performance Center being down there. And New York is obviously a great area for professional wrestling. Rhode Island is insane. The whole New England area, Los Angeles, pretty much everywhere you are or close to where you are, there's going to be some wrestling going on. And when we are able to get back out in the world and when we can start seeing these shows come back, listen, I don't care if you don't go to Pro Wrestling Magic. You're mistaken, quite frankly. But wherever you are, if you are near a show that's going on, go and check them out. Or go on ProWrestlingTees.com and search up an indie wrestler you only may have heard of. Look at their merch. Buy some of their DVDs. Some of these guys press their own DVDs.
Yeah.
Like I know one of my buddies in Brooklyn right now. He's the inventor and the king of no ring, no rules death matches, Casanova Valentine. He's one of the coolest guys in the world, and he has a DVD coming out for the best matches of 2017 that he had, and he has a bunch of T-shirts online. Hit these guys up. MV Young is another guy. MV Young is pressing his own shirts. He's got a Patreon. He's got an incredible following. Effie is indie wrestling right now. Go and seek out these guys and throw if you can. I'm not saying to give them your last $20. That's the last thing I'm asking you to do. But if you can, throw these guys a couple bucks so they can pay their bills, so they can put gas in their car and go entertain you and your family when we're able to.
Right.
I can't wait to get in front of these people again and give all of my friends that, because they're not just fans, they're friends to me, they're family. These people that watch the same things I watch all the time. I can't wait to go out there and hug my family again. That's the message that I want everyone to get from this at all, is that I can't wait to see you guys back out there. And I hope that you guys come and give us a little bit of love too, because we're all hurting right now. But you know what? The second we heal up, the second we're able to, we're going to come back out there and we're going to be bigger, better, faster, and stronger than we ever were before.
I can drink on that, man.
Thank you. I finished my beer, so
I'm not even through my first one. I still got another one sitting there. I thought about coming on tonight and just doing the Stone Cold thing, though, but I wouldn't want.
Oh, but then it ruins your rug, man. Like you can't.
I got floor. I don't got rug. So,
then you're fine.
Yeah,
you're fine.
I'm fine though. But my wife come home after work in the morning and seeing a mess and hearing the dogs out here. Kind of. It's like
licking the floor because it's all sticky.
Yeah, what the hell are you doing? It's like I had got the dog cleaning up the floor there. Had a little bit too much. But
had a few, had the podcast going. You know how it is.
Yeah, she knows. And speaking of podcast and I wanted to ask you about commentary before I skip over this, because I do want to ask you about Rogue One podcast. But first, I want to ask a little bit more about commentary here. What would be your favorite commentary duo?
I was thinking about this earlier because there are a lot of good commentary duos out there, and obviously Joey Styles is the man who stood alone. He was like the first guy that made me sit up and go, oh shit, this guy can do this on his own. He's just screaming his head off and killing it. But when it comes to duos, I think that it's got to be when Heyman and JR were together for that year. I think it was in 2001, leading up to WrestleMania 17. They're great, but they weren't together super long. So I have to actually give it to Tom Phillips and Corey Graves on NXT. That couple of years where it was just the two of them together. And they were just out there every week, every takeover. Corey Graves was the color guy. Tom Phillips was the straight man, the play-by-play guy. And I remember watching some of those takeovers going like, I can do what Tom Phillips is doing. I want to be that guy, because that guy is really, really fun and really, really cool. And then Corey Graves with his whole like, shut up, Saxton, and like all that other stuff. He was hilarious. He's been sort of watered down now that he's on the main roster and whatever the case may be with that. But yeah. Tom Phillips and Corey Graves, I think they're up there for me as far as duos go, just like the two-man booth. And I'm a firm believer in a two-man booth over. And I think it would be cliched to say King and JR, because King and JR they're the gold standard, but when it comes to duos, I think more recently, Tom Phillips, Corey Graves, I think those guys absolutely friggin' murdered it every single week.
Okay. That's nice. I do remember watching NXT with Tom Phillips and Corey Graves. I thought that was amazing, and they didn't last. They didn't have them together that long there, because Tom Phillips went and started doing other things. So, but it was that duo was pretty good. Yeah, because just like you said there, like the stuff that they did was great there.
Incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. I had to say my favorite duo of commentary would have to be Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan, man.
Oh, classic. Yeah, yes. Absolutely.
Yes, the barbershop, man. The barbershop in this incident with Shawn Michaels, and just Gorilla was like, Brain, you see what Jannetty just did? And then Brain's like, yeah, look at that coward. He jumped through that window. It's just it don't get better.
You remember when Heenan was trying to sneak into Raw? Like, I think it was like the first somewhere in the first 5 or 6 Raws. He came in and drag, trying to sneak past the Stooges and stuff. I mean, Heenan, it was a big loss to the wrestling world when we lost Bobby the Brain Heenan. I think the cruelest joke God ever played on man was giving that man mouth cancer. Yeah. I think that he had the gift of gab. He was able to turn anything into anything. And he had problems with Tony Schiavone in WCW, but even then, you could tell, even when he didn't give a shit, he was one of the greatest dudes to ever sit behind the table. But yeah, Monsoon and Brain.
Yeah.
Absolutely great. Classic.
Yeah, I loved him. I definitely loved him as a duo. I definitely did. Any advice you'd give to someone that's starting out doing commentary? What advice would you give someone?
This one's harder because I've never actually had to give advice to anybody, at least in this industry. But if I had to give some advice to someone thinking about getting into commentary, I would say don't get ahead of yourself. Live in the moment. Of course, find out what you got to find out. Do the work. Watch the older shows. Like if you're coming into an already established company and the core group of guys and girls that they're going to use, watch a show. Get into it a little bit. Talk to the performers. Get there early. Do the necessary work, but do not get ahead of yourself. Stay in the moment as much as you can while still trying to do the work. I know it's a little convoluted. It's a little, both sides of the fence to give, but I think when you're at the shows, because I usually try and get to the shows a few hours early at least, but I usually work on show days and then I go right from work to the show. But when I'm able to get there at like noon and I can be there for like 4 or 5 hours with the guys and film promos and talk to them about stuff, it's always I remember talking to Killian Murphy, the Irish shooter. I remember talking to him and I said, hey, is there anything in particular that you want me to pay attention to? Like, I know that your finisher is this, and this is where you went to school, and you're good at suplexes and whatnot. And he goes, oh man, thank you. Yeah, I started doing this lariat, and I'm calling it the boyo. And I'm just like, oh, cool. Because when he hits that move, because he's planning on hitting that, peel the curtain back a little bit, he's planning on hitting that move during the match. Right. So when he hits that move, and sorry to the people who are listening on headphones, but when he hits that move, and you can go, boo! On commentary, and you see the crowd pop, and you get that feedback on the table as well. Yeah. You got to do the work, but you got to stay in the moment. I can't even tell you how many times people have come up to me and they were like, dude, I was way in the back of the room and I heard you like scream out lariato when somebody got hit with a lariat. Like, that was insane, man. Like, that really made me feel like I was sitting at home with my buddies watching a pay-per-view. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about. Yeah, you may be screaming into a microphone. You may be on a live stream, and I've done internet live streams before. I've done I was on Fight TV with Uncanny Attractions. It was half drag show, half wrestling show. Oh wow, incredible. Yeah, it was an incredible thing. It was the night before WrestleMania last year, and I had performers coming up to me. I happened to work with Joe, I'm going to screw up his last name like I always do, Deborowski from Future of Honor. And I worked with him for the first time. And when we got off of the live stream, he was just like, man, dude, you have like such an energy through this. And I was screaming through. I had done 3 shows that weekend. My throat was barren. I was like this. Like, if you go back and watch, the main event of that show was Casanova Valentine versus MV Young. And I know both of those guys personally, so it was a great pleasure of mine to be able to call that match. But I'm like this the whole time. I'm screaming through blood, like blood is in my throat and everything. But I'm giving it my all. Give it your all, do the work, stay in the moment. That's it. That's the advice I'd give.
I like that.
Thank you. I just sort of went with it. Yeah.
Well, yeah. You have to. You have to just go with it. You definitely have to.
This is why they pay me the medium dollars to sit behind the table, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how to shut up.
It's all good. Rogue Opinions podcast. I listened to the Kayfabe Court one about the went back and listened to with the AEW title disappeared. I was laughing my ass off on that just because it was such a great episode. Oh, and
the group chat, the day Jericho lost the belt was just like, guys, oh my god. And Rogue Opinions is a bunch of guys from the UK and me. So yeah, go ahead, finish what you were saying, but I'll get into that in a sec.
Yeah, I was listening to that, and I just love the responses. I forget the guy. He said, "Yeah, when I searched Jericho, what came up was like fat and heavy and stuff." I was just laughing because I was like, "Wow!" Because it's funny because what you search and put in on the internet, it's something pops up that you don't expect. You're like, "That's the first thing that pops up." Come on, that's just nuts. That's nuts, and. I thought it was really good in how each person gave their take on who took the belt, and I loved that. I did jump on to listen to newer episodes, and you're pretty much on and off on that podcast, pretty much.
Yeah, that's mostly due to my work schedule, and with the time difference as well. The UK is like 4 or 5 hours or 6 hours ahead. Of us.
Yeah, it's totally different.
So if I get out of work at like 6 o'clock my time, it's like 11 o'clock at night to them. And these guys have regular jobs, so like they can't be up. They are sometimes, and I'm eternally grateful to Nathan Greenaway, Scott McLeod, Rahul Asnani, Anthony Fitzpatrick, all those guys, Carlos, just a bunch of different guys who were over there who decide to stay up and podcast with me into the wee hours of the morning for those guys. Because that's the only reason I don't get to be on as much as I would like to. But Rogue Opinions started out, we were at another podcast. We were at the Rope Break podcast with a bunch of guys from the Inside the Ropes fan community on Facebook. If you don't know what Inside the Ropes is, it's a Scottish-based wrestling podcast. Kenny McIntosh, Sandra Ruth, Wesseldyke Reinstein, they all do a bunch of stuff from the UK, Ireland, UK, and America. There's a fan group for them on Facebook. We all met through there and decided, let's try and do some of that. Me, Nathan, Scott, a few of us were with Rope Break, and that sort of started to fall apart. So Nathan hit me up one day after we had done some stuff for Rope Break, and he's like, hey, I was thinking about maybe doing something a little different. Maybe get out from what we're doing at Rope Break and sort of go, because I made a kind of, I was not a big fan of Nia Jax at the time, let's say. And I made a couple of off-color comments and got kind of yelled at for it because I don't think before I speak, obviously. So, and that wasn't the reason I left. If just in case any of those guys are listening, that wasn't why I left. I left to have more control over what we were doing, and then we decided to start Rogue Opinions, which it was Nathan's brainchild. Nathan and Rahul and Scott and a bunch of those guys, they decided to bring me on with them, and we brought over our idea for what we call Kayfabe Court, which is essentially we take questions from inside the realm of wrestling and we keep it kayfabe. So when we ask questions like, what was in Shane McMahon's lockbox before WrestleMania 32? And if you want to hear the answer to that, I'm not going to tell you now. Go over on the Rogue Opinions podcast feed. Check that out because it's not what you think it is. We asked the question, what is The Rock cooking? Who stole the AEW title? Who started GTV? And we did a bunch of those, and then we started doing tournaments for like best TV show, favorite WrestleMania, stuff like that. We started doing create a movie, create a pay-per-view. It's essentially we just have a group chat, and Nathan will say to us inevitably, hey, do you guys fancy doing something like this? And we're like, yeah, fuck it, why not? And then we get on the call. 3.5 hours later, sometimes we have a podcast. And Rogue Opinions is great, and we actually have one coming up where it's going to be a tournament of the best cartoons. It's going to be 2 blocks. It's going to be children's cartoons from our childhood, and then adult-based cartoons like Rick and Morty, Family Guy. And we're going to put them through a tournament, and then the winners of both of those blocks are going to face off at the end, and we're going to determine what the best cartoon of all time is that we could think of off the top of our heads, because we didn't really do a lot of research. And that's what we're going to do this weekend. Obviously, we have wrestling reviews. We pretty much just do whatever we want. They have a lot of other stuff over there as well, the Naked Men podcast. We just try and give people a laugh. That's pretty much what we like to do.
Nice. I love that. I love that. And yeah, I recommend that you check it out because there's so much stuff and so much discussion on the podcast, and it's great. It's great. Just like what Jimmy.
And normally by the end of the podcast, I'm trashed because I'm usually drinking because I like talking to my buddies, and Nathan will have a couple wines or whatever, and we'll get into it a little bit. And we had a 2.5 hour Elimination Chamber review that by the end of it we were just like, fucking Shayna Baszler standing around or whatever, fucking who knows, whatever. Drop my jewel here. But yeah, we like to have fun, man. Just like how you're doing. I love this format where you just get on and shoot the shit. It's the only thing I've ever been good at, so like might as well do it, you know?
Yeah, I like that. I like the format and stuff and everything that I've been doing because, I mean, there for a while, if you look at the content I put out back before episode 100, it was mostly, I did interviews here and there when I first started out, but then I started having people come on and I had like Chris Carnage come on, I had like my nephew come on, and then as I had these people come on, I ended up just doing different like variety talk and having guests coming on in the middle, and then they'd be on for a little bit and leave, and then we'd do different discussion stuff. And then after episode 100, I decided to make everything just go back to interviewing. Just go back to interviewing, like how I go back to my roots, because I enjoyed how I started out. And that's what I've been running from episode 100 now. Tonight, this is episode 176. God damn.
Wow.
Yeah, 176.
Congratulations, man. That's great. That's not an easy task to do, to come on every week and be able to cultivate an audience and everything. I kudos, my friend. Kudos. That is fantastic. Anytime anybody can go out there and make their own thing and do their own thing, do it. Do it. If you have the chance, do it. And you're killing it right now, man. It's great. It's great.
And speaking of fan base, I do want to mention this here. My Twitch has been going off here, and I want to give a shout out right now, real quick. Damn, so many people has followed Podcasting Network on Twitch here, and I could say that David Wallencheck, I want to give him a shout out. Johnny Westcott, Kyle Blizzard, Allison Maeve, Russell Popcast, AJ Harp, Garrett Adams, Eric Olson, Jake Carnage, Matt Greifer, Kim Bethos, Anna Zane, Jimmy Baxter, Brian Driggers. This is all within a minute ago that's followed. I suck at names. If I missed, if I skipped over your name, the people I can't pronounce, thank you for following Podcasting Network on Twitch. Josh Lampherd, Amy Renee. You know any of these people? Because pretty much
I'm terrible with names. Like I'm better at faces. I run into so many people. I work in retail, so I see like a billion faces a day. I hear 100 names a day. I'm awful at names, but thank you guys so much for coming on. And if I do know you guys, come up to me at the next show and be like, how do you not know me, bro? Come on. Slap me around a little bit. Yeah. It's what it is. So.
All these people here, I want to thank you. Thank you for following Podcasting Network on Twitch right here, man. It's just amazing, man. Just looking at all these people here, these names here. Amber Sperling, Bernie Hall, just all these people who just followed just here within the last few minutes. Thank you for following Podcasting Network. I just want to throw that out there. And thank you for tuning in and listening here tonight on the podcast. And I haven't mentioned nothing on the chat tonight. Deathmatch Russell Podcast. You said hello.
Hey, Russell, my boy.
Yep. Hello, Everett Lee and your guest, Jimmy. And yes, woohoo, 176. Yep, I'm excited as much as you are, dude. So shout out to Deathmatch Russell Podcast. He's hanging out in the chat here tonight. And then just, it's great. It's great. I mean, things are looking up. Things are positive, and just shooting the shit with Jimmy Baxter, Pro Wrestling Magic Commentator. And this is a question that I ask all the time, and I'm still going to ask no matter what's going on in the world. What upcoming projects you have? If it's just, what do you got coming up, or what do you have planned that you plan on doing? We'll just say that. Just, what do you got? What do you got in the works?
Well, as far as Pro Wrestling Magic goes, I'll start there. We have on the 28th, I believe that's this Saturday, instead of us being able to do our upcoming show Cheers, a place where everyone knows your name, plugs, we're doing sitcoms this season, and it's been pretty great hearing those sitcom intros at the end of the shows. But instead of that, because we can't have the show, obviously, we're doing Jimmy and Shane's top 5 Pro Wrestling Magic moments ever. Of course, matches that we haven't shared yet before. We have an incredible list set up. Shane and I are going to be popping in with our 5, 4, 3, and 2, and 1. And we're going to count those down on Saturday night at 6:30 p.m. on the Pro Wrestling Magic Facebook. And, just on the Facebook page for now. Hopefully we'll be able to upload that to YouTube later on. We had our first special, The Roaring Twenties, air on YouTube. That was an entirely brand new concept of a show, wrestling show, totally shot in black and white. and it was a lot of fun to do that. But as far as upcoming, we always have stuff in the works. The main guy behind that and we talk about it literally every single day. So we're always thinking of matches to put up, different segments that we can do, more stuff of me sitting near a TV screen talking about Pro Wrestling Magic. And then, of course, with Rogue Opinions, we have the cartoon tournament that we're going to be working on. I think it's this weekend, but there's always stuff popping up over there. They got the Banter Munich podcast. We got the Naked Men podcast. We got just pretty much anything that you can look for. And if you go and follow us at Rogue_Opinion on Twitter, give us some suggestions. Let us know what you want to hear. If you want to hear this conversation between me and Everett again for a second time, but over on Rogue Opinions, let us know. I'll call this guy up. We'll do it all over again, buddy. I'll even get the guys from the UK. We'll get these guys in here.
Hell yeah.
Pro Wrestling Magic's the same thing. Sound off in the comments. We're here for you guys first and foremost. We like to pop ourselves just as much as we like to pop you guys. So, we're always open and available to do pretty much anything, because with technology today, we film most of the stuff on phones, man. I hate to peel back the curtain that much, but yeah, we film all this stuff on phones and edit it down and make it look pretty. And we're open to do pretty much anything. And then, of course, once we're able to start going back outside and I can make my way back to the top of the mountain, the Pro Wrestling Magic Kingdom once again, we'll be able to do more episodes of Monday Morning Magic. I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully you guys are too.
Nice. I love it. I love it here. David C. Russell just messaged me, and I want to say that he wants to thank you for getting him into podcasting. So I just want to throw that out there.
Russ, I love you, buddy. Russ, I know you're watching right now, man. I love you, buddy. And you were going to do that anyway, man. You have a gift for it, and just talking to you at shows and stuff was a gift for me. And the fact that you get to do that every week now is just, it's so cool for you. Keep doing it, man. I can't wait to be on that show. You better hit me up, son of a bitch. I'm waiting for you.
That's great. That is great.
I love him to pieces. He's the best.
He is. He's a great guy. He does a lot. He puts out content every week, and he talks to amazing people. I'm gonna put his ass over right now since he's watching. Check out Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast on Podcast City Network over on podcastcity.net. So be sure to do that. Hit it, Bam. That's what he says in the chat there.
Nice. I love him.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, man. I definitely love it, though. But I do want to say this. I do want to apologize for some reason Streamlabs not multi-streaming this episode on my Everett Lee Show Facebook page, but I will upload this onto the Everett Lee Show Facebook page so you can check it out later or at your convenience. So it's there whenever you want to watch it. I don't care if you watch it tomorrow, the next day, the day after, a week, or whatever. As long as you watch it, it's going to be available right there for you. And I want to apologize to everyone that expected to tune in tonight on Facebook on the Everett Lee Show page to check it out, though. But we got Twitch. We got one stream up. So if one goes down, we got another one up. And
I blame Mark Zuckerberg.
You blame Mark?
I blame Mark Zuckerberg. It's his fault. He didn't want this out there. He didn't want this going. But you know what? Twitch saved us. And we're here.
Yes. Pretty much the stream tonight here didn't kind of go like, pretty much like crappy. It didn't go like that because
I love soundboards, man. I love soundboards.
Oh, I got a lot, man. I got a lot. At least soundboard didn't do this tonight on the stream.
Ooh, squeaker. Ooh. Ooh. I shouldn't have eaten that Thai food before I came on.
Yeah. We should have invited Otis because he would have called us up and said,
I'm coming!
He would have been
phrasing.
That's right. At least we had about a
33 and a third chance
of actually getting on tonight.
Steiner math. Excellent.
Yeah. If you're in front of me, Jimmy, we'd give each other a nature boy.
Woo!
I'm a big New Jersey Devils fan, and every single time we score a goal, they play the woo, and you can't walk more than 5 feet in the Prudential Center without going woo, without it echoing through the arena the whole time. It's one of the coolest experiences. New Jersey Devils, baby. Hopefully next season we'll be able to pull it together, because this season was not very good.
Yeah. I feel for you. But, one thing on the release show, one thing I don't do is...
I don't do requests.
Because if I had the phone lines on, I'm sure we get someone on there that we couldn't get off the phone, and they would hijack the show, and then basically it would be pretty much. I'm trying to find the sound.
I know. I can see you're fucking vamping like a motherfucker right now.
I'm like, where the fuck is it? Where's the fuck sound? I added some new sounds, and I'm trying to get used to this here. I'd have been like,
Cacao, hello. Hey, it's nothing. He says he knows you.
Hey, phone's for you, motherfucker.
This is what I say about the coronavirus. This is basically what I say about it. I'm trying to find it here. Where the fuck did I put this thing at? All right, yeah, it's where the hell is it? Here, let me just play this for you tonight. I've added a little bit.
Drinking a little bit of the bubbly.
little bit of the bubbly.
Yeah, I had a little bit of the bubbly tonight, but yeah, pretty much.
Have you heard that Cardi B coronavirus thing? Where she's like, ha ha, bitch, coronavirus. It's the best thing in the world. She's dressed in like fucking chainmail or whatever. Like, she looks awful in it, and she's just like, coronavirus. And somebody put a beat under it. And if you haven't heard it yet, ladies and gentlemen, go see it, because she's trying to get it taken down because she wants the money from it because people are liking it. And that's not cool. So go look for it.
Oh, yeah, because she's...
Show me the money!
Yeah, pretty much.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
I love soundboards, man. I just do.
I do.
I grew up listening to those morning radio shows like the Z Morning Zoo and Howard Stern and Opie and Anthony and all those guys. And whenever they hit those drops and stuff, it's so good. So good.
It is. This is what I think about the coronavirus.
But there's one problem. Everybody still thinks that I absolutely suck.
Great. Absolutely great.
Yeah. But at least everyone came on tonight, and we were like
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
A little bit here in the pro wrestling talk here on the Everett Lee Show, and Jimmy Baxter of Pro Wrestling Magic Commentary. And before we head on out and do your plugs and I do my plugs, before we close the show, where can people find you on social media out there, Jimmy?
All right, here's the spiel. You can find me over on Twitter at Mr. Riot. That's MRRI0T, because I played Counter-Strike as a kid. Sorry. Then you can also find Pro Wrestling Magic at Wrestling Magic on Twitter. Also the Pro Wrestling Magic Facebook page. I'm always lurking in there. And also go and check out Rogue Opinions. Rogue_opinion on Twitter. That's where I'm at. And I want to point this out real quick. These guys back here, if you're not listening to Streetlight Manifesto, you're doing yourself a disservice, ladies and gentlemen, and you need to listen to them. They're good Jersey boys, and they're rocking their asses off. They got the horns going and whatnot. But remember, Pro Wrestling Magic, first and foremost, baby. Jimmy Riot. I'm always on the commentary table, and you can see this ugly mug on Monday Morning Magic.
Nice. Thank you.
Stop it. Stop. Please, sit down. I'm a simple man. Meat and potatoes.
And as always,
I didn't know you could squeeze that whole audience into that room in there, man. You're doing great.
I can. Podcast City Network Studios, Podcast City Network LLC is right here.
Are they practicing social distancing? Is that what? Are they sat 6 feet apart?
Yeah, I make them, because if not, then I kick them out.
Yeah, there you go. Got to follow the rules. Flatten that curve.
Yep.
Wash your goddamn hands.
Yep. Yeah. If you're gonna wipe, make sure it's the left hand, not the right.
Left hand, and always go front to back, never back to front. Don't want to do that. Fuck your whole day up.
Exactly. Exactly. I pretty much, if you got a monitor on right now, you're going to love this here, because what I'm going to do is I want to give everyone a thumbs up for tuning in tonight here on the Podcasting Network Twitch. Right there.
We'll give you guys some finger guns.
Yep.
Those are coming back. Finger guns, baby.
And when you look back on this, after this is done and over with, you're gonna laugh at this towards the last of the part of this here.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
If I haven't gotten the devil horns or anything, or like a big like a dick coming at me at any point, please don't do that. Facebook hates me as it is. But no, do it because it's funny. I don't give a shit.
It is funny, ain't it?
Just make sure I'm cradling the balls, because if you don't cradle the balls, you're not doing it right.
Cradling the balls. Oh man, that is just nuts. That is nuts. All I gotta say is that I'm thankful and happy that everyone got to watch and listen to this podcast tonight. But before we go, I do want to mention that not that right there. That's from another podcast. All right, here's the right screen right there, ladies and gentlemen. You can follow more Everett Lee Show over on podcasting.net, over on Podcasting Network, your top source for independent podcast, and follow them on Facebook, Podcasting Network, and send them a tweet over on Twitter at PodcastingNet. Subscribe and follow Podcasting Network on YouTube there, on the YouTube channel, Podcasting Network, and right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Podcast City Network. And of course, you want more Everett Lee? Well, you got Everett Lee over on Facebook, Everett Lee Show. Give a thumbs up. And over on Twitter, at the Everett _Lee. Instagram, Everett Lee Show. And audio portions of this podcast, the previous release podcast, head over to on the YouTube channel, Everett Lee Show. Stitcher Radio, iTunes, and iHeartRadio, and Podbean for your audio podcast of the Everett Lee Show. And before I do leave, I just got to mention is that, with everything that's going on, it kind of just wanted to make me just rant on and stuff, because I got some stuff I got to rant about with the coronavirus. And before I do really get into that,
Stop! Why? I just don't get it. I always catch you fuckers watching this sick shit. This is sickening.
Okay, that's my producer saying I gotta wrap it up. I do want to thank Jimmy.
We're out of time, people.
Baxter.
We're out of time.
Yes. I do want to thank Jimmy Baxter for coming on here tonight on the Everett Lee Show, and that is it for the podcast.
Thank you, Everett. I love you and appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm gonna hit this outro music, and we are out of here. Everett Lee signing off. See you next week for an episode of the Everett Lee Show. Peace.